Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it is Friday, June 4th, so I would like to do a Friday Reads video and tell you about the books that I plan to read this weekend. And basically what it boils down to, though, is readathons. There are so many wonderful readathons happening in the month of June, and two of them start this weekend. One of them that I'm participating in started already at the beginning of the month, and I have already posted a June TBR, but this is going to kind of be June TBR part 2, because after I posted that initial TBR video and I mentioned the Pastoral June Readathon that I was definitely participating in, that's the whole month of June, hosted by Angie and Summer, and I'll put that information down below. And then tomorrow starts the Category Romance Challenge, which is, or Readathon, which is hosted by Sarah The Bookish Knitter and Bree from Falling for Romance. And so I'm kind of low-key participating in that one. I've got a couple of category romances, and I was able to fit them in with the other stuff and sort of make them count for a couple of things. And then starting on June 21st for the whole summer is going to be the Killing It with Cozy's summer reading challenge, where you read a book with the titles that start with SUMMER. So I had been sorting all that out and figuring out what I wanted to read, and then I posted my TBR, and Donna from Studio in the Library, who is one of my probably my most faithful subscriber and commenter. Thank you so much, Donna, for being so wonderful and supportive. And I love chatting with her in the comments and in other places online, and Goodreads and everything. So she mentioned the Golden Girls Readathon. And I thought, oh goodness, I can't add another thing. But I remember her talking about it last year, and I've heard a few other people talking about it. And she also mentioned, I think, the Caribathon, which I looked into, and I've got a couple of books set in the Caribbean, but they want you to read books by Caribbean authors, and I don't think I can fit that in this time. I don't have any books on my shelves that I know of that were written by Caribbean authors, and the series I own is set in the Caribbean, but the author is not from there. So I'm putting that one on hold right now. Maybe next year I'll have something to read. But the Golden Girls Readathon just looks so much fun. And it looks like so much fun. Sorry, I'm skipping words, trying to get ahead of myself. And I looked at it, and I watched Rachel Fryman's announcement, and there's 10 challenges. And I'm pretty sure you can double up, but I don't like to do that. I'm kind of an overachiever when it comes to readathons. So there's 5 challenges that everybody is supposed to do, and then another 5 for each of the Golden Girls. And you're supposed to pick one of them, and then you're on that team. So at first, I was looking at all the challenges, and I thought, I could probably do most of these with stuff I'm already planning to read, but which one? And so ultimately I ended up deciding to participate and join Team Sophia. She's the underdog. She has not, I think she's come in last the last 2 years, and so there's some extra perks, but that's not really why I picked her. In fact, I kind of really was trying to pick one of the others because I feel like everyone's going to pick Sophia this year since she's the underdog. But really those prompts fit what I'm already reading much better than any of the others. My second choice would have probably been Team Dorothy, and any other month I would have probably picked it because one of them was to read something that has to do with a school. I've got a couple of Sunshine State books that have to do with the school, but I'm not reading those this month. Any of the Miss Read books, usually, well, at least the Fairacre series, they're set at a school. So, maybe next time. But anyway, so for this month, I decided to join the Golden Girls Readathon. So I want to give you my TBR for that, which is ultimately what I'm starting out with this weekend to read. Now, for one of the perks for joining Team Sophia is that you could start at the beginning of the month. And I thought, I get through audiobooks pretty quickly, so I don't think I'll start any of my audiobooks until the day it starts, which is today. But print books, I am hard, it takes me longer to get through print books. So I thought I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that, and I'm going to go ahead and start my print books. And also because the 2 print books that I have been trying to, well, okay, let me take that back. The one main print book that I've been reading is a buddy read, and we had already kind of started it, slow started it, soft started it in May, but I kind of started it over because I didn't get that far anyway. So I've been reading that for the last 3 days. Well, I read a lot today, so 4 days. And then the group read for Pastoral June, I started on audio, and then I decided I really wanted to see it in print, but the only copy I could get is an abridged copy, but it's beautiful. I want to show you that later. So I'm going to kind of start over on that one too and follow along in print so that I can see where the chapters divide and all of that. So I am rambling. Let's first just talk about, well, before we get into the Golden Girls Readathon and that TBR. So since I decided I wasn't going to start my audiobooks for the readathons until today, I wanted to listen to something on audio prior. So what I've been listening to is Crocodile on the Sandbank by Elizabeth Peters, and this is book 1 in the Amelia Peabody series. I had a couple of other books on my potential TBR. I wanted to start with something that I didn't have to have for one of the readathons, and also something that was already on my TBR for the month. And this was on my TBR for the month because I need to binge this series at some point in the next few months, because we're supposed to read one of the books later on in the series for my mystery book club. I really hate that because I think this is one of those series that you really ought to read the first book first. So when my mystery book club meets next week, I am going to take this and suggest that all of them read ahead. At least read this first book to get the base story. The reason we didn't pick this one is because there wasn't enough copies to go around for all of book club. So if we start now, we take turns with this, it'll be better. This was so much fun. So let me just say, if you've not read this, I've been hearing great things about this series for ages, and or for however long it's been around, and it is, all the hype is true. It's so much fun. The main character, Amelia Peabody, is such a strong female character. She's hilarious, and it's historical. I'm not even sure the time frame it's set in, but it's back when women had to all wear dresses with bustles and all of that. And she talks about how, you know, the discrimination of women who are being forced to wear these fashions that constrict their ability to, you know, to do what they want to do and things like that. And she's so ahead of her time, and just fantastic character. Because I was listening on audio and trying to accomplish other things at the same time, I didn't follow the mystery quite as well, but I did get the gist of it, of what was happening. And it's a good introduction of the characters. I hope that several of these characters will be in the future books, you know, all the side characters. And she basically goes to Egypt to, she goes to Cairo because she wants to, I think she just wants to see it, but she meets an archaeologist there, and then she really gets interested in archaeology, and she kind of tries to get in on what the archaeologists are doing, and, you know, they finally come to terms with the fact that, you know, regardless of what they say to her, she's going to do what she's going to do, and it's just really fun. So, anyway, I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to reading more of the series. I am going to binge this series at some point, not this month, but maybe starting next month. And I think most of them are on Hoopla on audio, so I'm looking forward to more of these. So this was my first finish. I thought I would get it done within the first couple of days of the month. I didn't actually finish it till this morning while I was getting ready for this video. So it's done now. And then what I've been reading in print, this is the buddy read. I'm doing this with Summer from Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. I won this in her Earth Day giveaway, and it turned out then that this was her #1 book on her booktube spin list, so she was going to read it anyway. And since I won it, I won a copy of it from her, I said, well, hey, let's buddy read it. So we are having so much fun with this, and we are at about the halfway point right now. She got a little bit ahead of me because she read more of it at the end of May, and I didn't really get started on it until June, but it's such a great read. I have been reading faster than I normally do and catching up, and she's also been trying to balance this with Lark Rise, which I've kind of let Lark Rise go a little bit, and I got to get back onto that. So we're trying to balance both, and this is just so good. I love the way it's laid out. It is divided into sections. Let me take my notes out. It is the underlying venue, or the theme, is trees. So here is a slice of a tree, and it shows the cross, like you would go across section, 2038. That is the year that the book starts in. So it's a little bit futuristic, not science fiction. It's there has been a withering, the great withering. So it's a little bit dystopian in that it's described as being almost like a dust bowl, a repeat of the dust bowl. But there are a few little green pockets of trees that are being protected. So that's where we meet our main character in the first section. And then we go back in time to 2008, where we meet her father, who she never knew. And there's a short section on him. And then we go to 1974, where we meet her grandmother, and which is the mother of her father. And then we go to 1934. Those are the longest sections, and that and there we meet an uncle of, well, the original person never knew him. The girl from 1974, it's her uncle. So that is the 1934 series. Sorry, the 1934 sections are the longest, and there's just so much good stuff in there. It's just so great. So many layers. It's such a page turner. I am not a fast reader, but I got up this morning about 4:30. Cat woke me up. So I was up. I did my Bible reading and devotional and all that. And then I made my coffee and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick up Greenwood. I read that whole section, which is like 104 pages. I had it read before 9:30 in this morning, and I was like, woo, this is great. So then there's a short section that is set in 1908. And then it goes back out. So that's the oldest section. Then it goes back out to 1934 and 1974, 2008, and to 2038. So it's like it comes full circle, and it's like they just sliced through this tree. And the story is not about a specific tree. It just has to do with trees and lumbering and all of that. But it's so good. And this book is so green. Everything about this book is made from recycled materials, plant-based ink. Even the paper that they used for editing purposes was all recycled. And it's just such a cool thing. And I appreciate Summer so much for doing this as a giveaway. And if that sounds like a story you'd be interested in, I highly recommend it. I'm going to recommend, if our library hasn't already bought this, I'm going to recommend that they buy a copy, and that we, I'm going to recommend this to my book club friends as well, because I'm really, really enjoying it. So then I said I'm going to get to the Golden Girls Readathon. So that's going to count for one of the challenges. But let me, since I've mentioned Pastoral June, let me also talk about my other current reads. So I started, Lark Rise is the group read. I started it on Scribd, on audio. And I wasn't sure because people were talking about, I read a couple of the comments on Voxer, and they were talking about such and such being in chapter 2. Well, that had all been in the very first, there's like an hour and 15 minutes of audio labeled introduction. And then chapter 1 and chapter 2. And so it just didn't match up. And I was worried that, sometimes audiobooks are just set in tracks, and they don't necessarily end when a chapter ends. They might have several chapters in one track. And I was just concerned that that was the case. So I went on my library website and I ordered a copy of the book, and it's a bind up of all 3 books. But I got home, and even though this is gorgeous, I have to show you this. It's abridged. So I'm pretty sure the audio is unabridged, but I want to go through it with this. I want to listen to the parts that are not in this book, but still I want to kind of listen along so I can just see where the chapters end. But this is an illustrated edition. It is stunning. It's all 3 books, but it has these gorgeous pictures. And then all throughout the pages, there's plants and flowers on each page. And it's beautiful. I am going to enjoy this so much. But I'm so into green. I keep wanting to call it Greenwise. I'm so into Greenwood right now that I have had a hard time getting back to pick this up. But now that I'm caught up with Greenwood to where summer is, I definitely want to pick this up. I want to listen to the audio and just turn through the pages at the same time. So it's going to be a multifaceted reading, listening experience. But look how beautiful this is. I had not ever heard of Lark Rise. I've never seen the show. Lark Rise to Candlewood is the name of the whole trilogy. The first book is called Lark Rise, and then the second one, to see what they're called. Just put my glasses on. Like that's a surprise. I think the second book is called, well, I don't know. Over to Candleford, and then Candleford Green. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm there. I think the goal is to read 2 chapters a day, but I was telling Summer, who's one of the hosts of Pastoral June, that I'm probably just going to try to get at least 1 chapter done per day, and I'll still finish it by the end of the month. I don't know if they're having a live show or not, but this book is just stunning. I'm kind of disappointed that it's abridged, but it's okay. All right, so then what I did was I sat down with all of my TBR for the month, and then I tried to plug in what is going to work for Golden Girls Readathon and what is going to work for the Category Romance Readathon, because those both are pretty much the same time frame. Golden Girls starts today, Category Romance starts tomorrow, Golden Girls ends on the 18th, Category ends on the 20th, and then the Summer Cozy Mystery Challenge starts on the 21st. So I had several goals to meet. Before that summer challenge starts, I need to read 3 different cozy mysteries from 2 different series in order to get to the letter I need for the summer readathon. So I wrote those down, and I figured out if any of those would work for Golden Girls. And then I figured out if any of my category romances would work for Golden Girls. And then I just pulled out, I just kept combing through the TBR. I had picked maybe 40 or 45 books that I want to read in June, and I just pulled the ones that will fit for Golden Girls. So, here we go. The team, the challenges for everyone are, there's 5 of them. The first one is to read a book with a 50-year-old character. Now, it doesn't say main character, but I have several wonderful series that I've read and am reading with 50-plus-year-old main characters. And the one that I decided to go ahead and pick, this was not going to be on my specific June TBR, but it is on my Serious About Series challenge. I've got 3 books left in this series, so why not? Just go ahead and get one done. They're on audio, on Scribd and Hoopla, so I can easily get it on audio. This is the 4th book in the Welcome to Partonville series, or I'm sure people call it the Dearest Dorothy series. And this is called Dearest Dorothy, Who Would Have Ever Thought? This is about a woman who is either in her 80s or early 90s, and she's just a dear sweetheart. And the whole series is just very, very fun and sweet, and it's not as funny as Miss Julia, but still very good, and I've enjoyed the first 3 books very much. So I am excited about getting to the next one. And so then the next one for Golden Girls is to read a book published in the 80s or 90s. So I am wanting to read 3 of the books in the, is it the Needlework mystery series by Monica Ferris. And I want to read, I've already read book 1. I read it years ago, and I remember the gist of it. And this is book 2, Framed in Lace. It was published in, I think, 1999. So it barely works, which is great because, October of 1999. So really cutting it close, but still fits perfectly. And this was one of the ones that I need to read before the Summer Cozy Mystery Challenge, because the next 3 books in the series, this is book 2. So book 3 starts with S, book 4 starts with U, and book 5 starts with M. So S-U-M. I'll read them in order, and that's awesome. So I need to get this one done, and it works perfectly for the Golden Girls Readathon. Then the next challenge is to read a book with the word girl or girls in the title. And Rachel did say, any iteration of that. So that makes me think that I could probably justify if it had a girl's name in the title. But what I'm going with is a category romance that has been on my Hoopla wish list for a while. I'm not able to get a physical copy. I've even called around to a couple of the used bookstores, and because it's from 2010 and it's a Harlequin Presents, they don't keep the Harlequin category romances, the Harlequin Presents and all that, any older than, like, one store doesn't keep them. She only keeps them for 5 years, and one of them said they don't have anything older than 2018. So I had to give up, at least for now, on being able to find that. One of our libraries usually has a pretty good selection of those, but they have, I don't know if they've opened back up their bookstore since COVID. So I need to go down there. I think tomorrow I might have a chance to go down there, and I'm just going to scan their shelves and see. I might find it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I should try to show you a picture. It is called, well, I don't need to show you a picture. It's got a couple on the front, and it's red and white, like the Harlequin Presents covers. It's called Virgin on Her Wedding Night by Lynn Graham. So Virgin on Her Wedding Night. Her stands for girl. So that's what I'm counting. I combed through all my TBR to see if there's anything with girl or girls, and that's the closest thing. And I wanted to read it for the Category Romance Readathon, so that works perfectly. It doesn't fit any of the Category Romance challenges, but that's okay. I'm good with that. Like I said, I'm just low-key participating in that anyway. I'm not really doing all the challenges for that one. I just want to, be supportive. Sarah and I co-host other readathons, and so I want to be supportive and participate in this one with her. So the next challenge is to read a book about found family. So for that one, I'm going to count Greenwood, because the original girl that we meet in 2038, she never knew her father. And right at the end of her 2038 section, she finds out something about her father, and she comes into the possession of a diary that has a lot of information. And so, even though I know the idea of found family means like contemporary, you find a family like friends or whatever, and they sort of become your family, this girl literally found out about her ancestors. So found family. She found her family. I'm counting that one. And Rachel did say, if you can justify it, then you're good. So I'm definitely counting it. And then the next one is to read a book written by a woman. So I'm going to count Larkrise for that, because that is written, or was written, by Flora Thompson. And I love how the Flora, is that a pen name? Is that her name or a pen name? I don't know. It's a nice coincidence if that is her actual name. And so that's the team challenges that everyone's supposed to do. So for Team Sophia, you are supposed to read a book with less than 200 pages. So I pulled out a little category. I think it would be considered a category romance. It is a silhouette novel, silhouette romance, that I've had on my shelf. This is a trilogy. I mentioned this book. I didn't have it in my hand when I did my other TBR, and I totally said the author's name wrong. It's actually by two different authors, and it's the first in a trilogy that has to do with pets. This one, the series is called Perpetually Yours. This one is called Love's 9 Lives by Kara Coulter and Cassidy Karen. I said Carla Cassidy. It's a lot of C names, and one of them is Cassidy, but I was completely wrong. So this is less than 200 pages. It is 185 pages, right? Somewhere around that. Yeah, 185 pages. Perfect. I will read this in print, and I'll need to get started on it pretty soon. And then for the next one, it contains a recipe. All right, so this is where a couple of cozy mysteries come in that I need to read before I get to them in the challenge. So the next two books in the Cackleberry Club series, I've just got one of them here in front of me, and the other one's still on the shelf. This is Bedeviled Eggs by Laura Childs. This is book 3. I've listened to books 1 and 2 both this year, like in March or April. And Yeah. So I want to read this one, Bedeviled Eggs, next, and this has recipes in the back. In fact, so does the next book, which is called Steak and Eggs, Stake, Steak and Eggs. And I want to read both of those because then the next book in the series, there is recipes. I'm trying to find them. Yeah, here we go. Wait, does this one have any? I'm sure it does. Yes, here they are. There was an excerpt from the next book. So anyway, it's got recipes, so it counts. And so I need to read that one and the next one because then the next book after that starts with the word eggs. So I need it for the E in summer later on, and either at the end. I don't even have to read the summer reading challenge. The Cozy Mystery Reading Challenge goes all summer, so I don't have to read it by the end of June, but I need to read those ahead of it so that I'll be ready for that one. Make sense? Okay. So that's going to count for a book with recipes and then a book of historical fiction. So in my car, I'm going to be listening to The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate. This, I forget what time frame it's set in, but it's definitely historical fiction and I think Civil War. Okay, cool. I just listened to a Civil War book last month and it was fantastic. So I'm excited to get to another one. I really do enjoy Civil War literature. This is for my regular literati book club, which meets I think on it's the third Thursday. So it's definitely before these readathons are over. And so I have to get on that. But meanwhile, I have already started Wildfire by Anne Cleves. This is for my mystery book club, which meets next Thursday. So I've got this one and then the next one. I will probably end up having to bring one of these in the house and listen on my CD player. But for now, I'm listening in my car. And this is read by Kenny Blythe, which he's got a wonderful Scottish accent. Whether that's his real accent or not, he does a great job. This is set in the Shetland Islands of Scotland, and this is book 8 in the series. But I read somewhere that you could read this as a standalone, so I hope that's true because it's the last book. I have a feeling that if I read this one, I'm going to be spoiled for the rest of the series. I don't know. I hope not because I might like to go and read the rest of them, but I just don't have time to read from the first to the book club book for every one of these series that we're reading books later in series. But someone did recommend that I read the first book in, or the earlier books in series for the Amelia Peabody because they said, there's a lot of personal things that happen to the main characters. So Katie's dog Louie just ran in under me, and Katie's trying to get him to go, but I can't lift you up to show you off, Louie. He's gone now. So that is for historical fiction, and then the next one is one with an author's name that starts with G for Estelle Getty. Each team has one prompt where you read a book with the author that starts with that girl's actress's last name. So the only other, I already mentioned one G book, so if I have to end up doubling up, the Virgin on Her Wedding Night by Lynn Graham can count for this one, but I would also like to read Being Known by Robin Jones Gunn, and this is an art copy that the publisher sent me a year or two ago, and I still haven't gotten to it, and this is on my Serious About Series challenge. I want to read this. Hopefully there's going to be more in this series. So far there hasn't been, but if there is, I'd like to have this one read and be ready for the newest one if and when it comes out. So I really enjoyed the first one in this series. It's the Haven Maker series, and it's Christian fiction, so I'm excited about that. Then the last one is to read a book featuring an immigrant. Okay, so this is for my Newberry project, and this is also going to count for Pastoral June. There is another copy that has a very pastoral cover. This one, not so much, but this is about an immigrant, Onion John, and his friendship with a 12-year-old boy. And this is the Newbery winner from 1960, I believe, either 60 or 69. And so I need to read this for my Newbery project. Yes, it was published in 59, so it was the Newbery winner for 1960. And I've got to read it in print. You would think this would be on audio somewhere, but I haven't been able to find it, and I'm happy to read it in print. I've already read one chapter of it, so I think it's gonna be really good. It also has a few illustrations, simple little drawings. Let me show you one. Well, I ran through several. Well, that one's not so simple. Oh my goodness. That one either, but anyway, they're just like simple, kind of like pencil drawings, and those are scattered throughout the book. So I've read another book, Newbery Winter by Joseph Crumgold, called something about Miguel. I don't know. The name escapes me. I've got it on my shelf. And I enjoyed it. And so I'm looking forward to this one. So that covers all of the Golden Girls prompts, and it covers the only 2 category romances that I'm definitely planning to read. I mentioned that I might pick up a Debbie Maycomber, but I think I've got my plate full with all of these, so I'm not going to be too concerned with that. And I'm going to be binging some Debbie Maycomber as part of my author binge project later in the summer. But if I do get all of those audiobooks done and I still have time, I'll go ahead and start on one of my author binge projects, which is to read the Twilight Texas series by Lori Wilde. I've already read book 1. I read book 1 in print. This is book 3. I don't have a physical copy of book 2, but I'm going to look for it today and also the next time I go to the used bookstore. It's called the Sweetheart Quilting Club, and then this is book 3, the Welcome Home Garden Club. I'd like to get at least 3 books read by each of the authors that I'm going to binge this month. So the next one is the First Love Cookie Club, I think. So these are on Scribd, on audio, and maybe on Hoopla too. So I'm looking forward to that. These may get a little steamier than I prefer. I do remember a little bit about the first one. I don't remember it being over the top. So I think I'll be fine with those. And that is it. That is everything for the Golden Girls Readathon, for the Category Romance Readathon, and my first few reads for Pastoral June. Some of them will count for, all of the above. So I am super excited about my reading month for June. I even sat down when I was trying to figure out if I could fit in the Golden Girls Readathon. I have everything written down in the order that I need to read it in order to accomplish everything within the time frames of everything. So does anybody else do that? Do y'all sit and just spend way too much time going through and planning your TBR? But of all my TBR for the month, I think I have 8 or 10 print books. And so if I can just continue to read, a chapter a day in all of those, then I'll be fine. I'm also reading a manuscript for Jack Castle, and so that is really fun. He's starting a new series, and I get to help copy edit that, and that is a lot of fun. So I'm reading a chapter a day of that as well. So it's fun. Summer has started now. Yesterday was Emily's last day of school, and so I've got a lot of projects to do and various things, but I've always got an audiobook in my ear. And unless my kids need me for something, then I will reluctantly take it out. I'm just kidding. Katie thinks it's reluctant. But anyway, she has a full-time job now and has finally a day off that she hasn't had a day off now in several days. And tomorrow she has to work a short shift, but we're going to go to a farmer's market in the morning and spend some time together. Me and my girls, so that's going to be fun. Anyway, I've got more videos coming. I didn't mean to let this one go on so long, but thank you so much for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end, put an emoji on at the end. I always think I want to do that, and then I always forget to say it. I did last time, but or time before, I don't even know. And I think at least one person, Ro from Cozy Reads Mystery, she said, I made it to the end. Here's my emoji. So anyway, I can't think. Put a flower at the end for Lark Rise. All the flowers. If you can find an emoji. If you're on your computer, you can't do emojis. But if you're on your phone, then you can add that emoji to your comment. I would love to hear your comments and love to chat with you. And thank you if you participated in Book a Day in May. I do have part 2 of that wrap up, and that will be starring my daughter Emily. And also, I forgot to mention my sister. She accomplished Book a Day in May as well. She read a book of the Bible every day. She picked all of the shorter ones and read one every day during the month of May. And so she's like, I did it. I completed Book a Day in May. So that's awesome. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. It's Friday, and it's time to go read. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book. God bless you.